This video is sponsored by Hayes Repair Shop. Conveniently located next to Del Perro Pier, our team of all-star mechanics are equipped to handle any problem that you can throw at them. From bikes to trucks and everything in between. Grab a bite and listen to some music while you wait. Hayes Repair Shop, setting the bar for automotive excellence since 2024.
I didn't have something based off of that question, but I think I'm gonna have to twist the knife a little bit more.
Come at me, dog.
Well, this is one for both of you. So, both of you have talked about proposals that you want to put forward and talking about, actionable results and whipping up proposals and getting legislation written. So, to Franklin, I know for a fact that the Bar Association was an idea that you initially had, yes, and initially put the legwork in, but then you dropped it, and the Bar Association didn't actually become a thing until Tammy Maynard, Maxwell Tunix, and one other attorney whose name I can't quite remember at the time, I believe it was Kelly Banana, were asking, hey, what happened with that Bar Association thing? Where did that go? And I mentioned, well, Franklin was working on it, and I haven't really heard anything about it since. And then they got together, pushed it over the finish line, and actually got it to where it is today. By that same token, Dr. T, I know for a fact, ever since November, you've wanted to make the Tonga Reservation a reality. Put in some kind of legislation, some kind of penal code stuff specific for the reservation to allow the reservation to operate as a reservation. Since that talk in November, I've had nothing about the reservation since. So I know both of you are talking about all these policies and legislation and bills and all these other things that you want to push, and I know both of you have dropped the ball on projects that you yourselves are passionate about. So what assurance do the police, or not the police, well, the police as well, but the citizens of this city, what assurance do we have that you're actually going to do what you say you're going to do? Because I know, in fact, both of you have already dropped the ball once.
I'm actually, quite frankly, more than happy to answer this question, Gavin, and clear this up.
Whoever wants to speak first can go. Whoever wants to speak first can go first.
Turn, so I'm gonna go first. Ball was not dropped, Gavin. I spoke with nearly every single individual within the DOJ and dozens of lawyers about the San Andreas Bar Association to make sure that everybody who would be affected and everybody who would want to be involved had a voice, had an opinion, and a perspective. And the reason I came to people like you and Dupre is because I respect and I value your opinions, just like I would anybody else. Maxwell Tunix and Kelly Banana are senior managing partners at my firm. Tammy Maynard is a dear friend of mine, all three of whom I worked very closely with to organize and get this set up. I would have loved to have been more intimately involved with the writing and the paperwork aspect of the business proposal, which is by and far the main thing that was separating us and being able to begin initiating the San Andreas Bar Association, which, by the way, I'm currently talking to as soon as last night with Tammy about setting up the next meeting to vote for leadership. But I am, without a doubt, or was, not at the moment, the busiest defense attorney in this state. I don't think it is an exaggeration to say I probably had 30 to 40% of the dockets that were up at one point in time. And stretched too thin to be able to put my focuses into something like that all the time, because I am always running around at the behest of the people I represent, trying to make sure that they're taken care of and trying to make sure their life isn't being ruined over bad charges or not having representation or miscommunication or simply an inability to be able to provide an argument onto the docket. Which is why I am never going to claim that I can just wave a magic wand and make something happen. Why I leaned on the people who I know could get behind this, that I could trust to do good work, and could actually get it effectively done. You lean on people, you lean on the community. If you take everything on your own shoulders, you're just going to get burnt out. Everyone experiences that eventually. I would never change a thing. I do not regret anything. And I'm very proud of Kelly. I'm very proud of Max. I'm very proud of October and Tammy for putting in the legwork. I was involved in the conversations, but yeah, they took the heavy burden of most of building that proposal, and I could not be happier to have people that I could trust to do so. And I will continue to extend that to every community, not just the DOJ and the Bar Association and lawyers, but to every community on every issue.
All right, Dr. T, you up?
Well, as you do know, and you are correct in this, Joy, it was about November, late November even, when we had first talked about getting some constitutional ratification. At the time, I was in talks with potentially a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, and a friend of the tribe, who is also tribal but not in my own. And we had spoken about potentially using her partner as someone that could draw up these contracts, or rather constitutions, for ratification. Now, as many of you will know, when December hit, I did not sound like myself, and I was around for a reason, even still suffering through that month. I had been hit by a very hard case of bronchitis, and I was on steroids just to even be allowed to fucking breathe every day, okay? I wish I could have got stuff going. I couldn't. By the time January came around, this is when I unfortunately was now hit with the idea and the promise of what would soon be the demise of private practice. So I waited, and I said, okay, let me deal with this. It was only a whisper at the time. And so I fought on it. It was little things being chipped away, little things here, like, oh, I couldn't have, you couldn't have this as a employee now, or then the employee couldn't be affiliated with this. And I fought hard for my employees, because I believe people should be able to be employed, despite who they associate with, for the most part. You need to be able to employ people in more facets than we currently do, because people aren't being fulfilled and they don't have channels back into life. So I fought on this really hard for the next 2 months, until, as we all know, about 2 weeks ago, it was finally nixed. It was gone. And that's fine. I do believe that Q has the right way of fixing this. I just have to hope that she is going to do it when she can, and she can put it out promptly. I'm not dwelling on the fact that it is gone, but I did fight for every last second that I could, in every channel that I could, in every way of communication, whether it was televised or not. I was doing it. So I was putting my own tribe on the back burner for that entire time. And I wish I didn't have to, but I've had papers that have been told, that myself, they have been told, they have been on the desk of the governor's office since January, that I put in. Since January of 2024. Over a year ago. I had stuff in there waiting on the desk of the mayor, of the governor's office, and it still hasn't been seen. So I don't know why I was going to rush into doing this again when I didn't know if it would just be not seen again, and I had to tackle the problem that was directly in front of me at the time, dealing with my passion and my business and my employees. Also, like I mentioned, that month of sickness did not help, but here we are. When that hit me, I knew I had to run for mayor, because I knew that I could also help make the city better, and the state as a whole.
All right. Thank you both for your questions. Also, yeah, I've had a proposal in for a gun store since March, and nothing's come of it. Anyway, Mac McCann, your question.
Everybody, it's me, your crime mayor candidate, Mac McCann. Good to see everyone again under better circumstances.
You promised not to hold us at gunpoint?
I promise. Smile.
Thank you. Thank you. That was
No
all
pro-
from security.
No problem. Okay, I'm here to ask a very serious question. Basically, what are their mayoral plans to try and work with or curb the ongoing abuse of powers by the police department? Up to and including, the usuals like Rob Miss. Can we demote him to dispatcher, like I said? Can we disband the highway patrol? There's too many police departments. I don't think we need 7. I think 2 is probably good. What are the mayoral plans for trying to work with and, I don't know, maybe hold the police accountable without getting Christoffed? You know what I'm saying?
But before any of the candidates answer, just making sure, because I know we've got other people We may stop the candidates for the sake of time.
Oh, of course, we're out of time,
just-
guys.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I'm just saying. I'm saying if things get a little long-winded, we'll have to wrap it up. Okay? I'm just letting people know. Anyway, Dr. T, you will start.
I just have a quick clarification for Mac McCann.
Sure, go for it, Joey.
So, you talked about, you mentioned the police generally, but then you rattled off all things that were just about the highway patrol. Are you sure that it's the police generally and not just the highway patrol?
I'm just picking on the highway patrol because I don't like Rob Mist, but it is the police generally.
Okay.
Ever done to you?
Well, that mustache certainly is a crime, but
Hey,
Oh,
T, go ahead.
sorry.
what the hell?
Okay.
Ah.
Well, as you know,
Terrible
I've
for
underlined
us.
myself. I have underlined for myself that my cabinet that we will eventually come into being will have a level of accountability that's been unprecedented. People will be in and out if they don't do the job.
No funny
I
business
choose
in
to
my
hope that this
line.
will inspire the police departments to also follow suit. But I've been answered in kind before when I mentioned this in a meeting, with a laugh, kind of. So I don't know if there's much hope in that end, but I do know that they potentially need some change as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think their election will be in about 25 to 28 days, somewhere along that line. Now, this is definitely more of a thing for them to do in their own SOPs and deal with this kind of stuff. It's going to come down to communication, but I wish we did have the tools to kind of actually monitor things, because how many of us have been hit by a cop car that didn't have its sirens on and then kept going? I'm sure it's probably most of us. And it shouldn't be at the end of the world, but it should be something to keep people, you know, wary of their surroundings and being held accountable, because sometimes those do turn into bigger things. We've all seen what happens when, you know, somebody gets hit on a crosswalk and it leads to a whole law. So we should be a little more careful. We should have the tools to actually enforce these sort of things. We currently don't. It's going to come down to the chief of police that gets elected pretty soon here, or even the sheriff, which I know he has good intentions about doing all this stuff too, but it's not really something that can fall onto my shoulders. I don't appoint the chief of police, unfortunately. I would love to help with all the facilitation of the tools potential that we can monitor these things. I know that there is not enough dispatch around currently, and a lot of them will be transitioning into police officers. It would be good if we can get a communications channel, maybe like a 411, where you could dial up stuff quick about, hey, who was this here? Who was that there? So I know what car was. But we do need some form of communication or a channel where we can get information back and forth between the people and the incidents happening. At least a record of who it was and where they were. That's probably the start of where we actually build this accountability for the police, or at least help them with it. I do sincerely believe accountability is a good thing for everybody. That's why I'm holding myself to the highest standard in my own party. And I actually plan to hold press conferences. I know many mayors have said this. They've said town hall, and they do one and they never do another, right? Tale's old as time. That is not the plan with me. I plan on supporting media in the state greatly. I've partnered with CNT already. They're very good guys. They have very good ideas, and I think we need to get media out more, because do you want to know what really works in society everywhere? Shame. Shame is a powerful tool, and it's not used enough. I think if I'm not being held accountable, or our police aren't being held accountable, we should be having more press conferences where these things are open forum and they can be brought up. We should incentivize people to do good. Maybe we can have a commendation ceremony at the end where we give medals to people that have community outreach and good policing, acts of heroism, civilian and government alike. These things are all things that will be byproducts of having these press conferences. It's going to be the right step for the community as a whole, and it's something we need to start practicing. I think it definitely starts with getting the right chief in, though.
So I'm gonna start this by just praying beyond any doubt that I hope that T can take a strong position on something and actually push for a thing. We do have the tools. We have more effective means than a tisk 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 to help rein in any kind of abuse from the police. Now, I'm a defense attorney. I know that I'm a necessary evil. I look at the cops in the same way. I think they are just as necessary as the hospital. I think they are just as necessary as our citizens in keeping the life cycle going. Is a means to make sure that cops aren't abusing people's civil rights. May not care about getting investigated because they end up finding themselves guilty of no wrongdoing, but they definitely care about their money. I know that for a fact as a lawyer. Cops who get sued and lose their paycheck change. and stop making mistakes. It goes back as far as Riley Reid, who I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with, but who was seizing property illegally, told by the court she was seizing property illegally, and then had her bank account rocked by the DOJ when she would not stop and was taken into court again. There will be an accountability budget. You do not have to pay into a budget for civil charges, civil liability that the cops end up taking. I have no problem funding the police. I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm not going to defund the police, as funny as that would be to me. I'm going to make sure that they are comfortable enough to do their job, but I'm also going to make sure that they understand that if they continue to violate civil rights, that is going to be worked into their budget, and they're going to end up being affected by it. They are actually incentivized to stop violating people's civil rights. That is what I've learned through my work as a lawyer. And I'm going to say something right now that is probably going to rock a lot of you. There are currently talks being had of getting rid of the elected position of chief of police and putting Toretti in charge. I have a problem with that. If you care about democracy, you better start talking up about it now. You better start complaining. That is going to happen if we don't stand up and stop it. Thanks.
Isn't he like a gang member or something?
All right, Mr. McCann, any follow-up or?
Just one thing. Fuck you, broccoli booger.
Mac McCann, you are wanted for 4 warrants. Come with us.
I gotta go.
Hey,
smash.
Careful,
careful.
Everybody.
But not me, because I'm conflicted.
Questions from the people, these guys, any other questions?
And then that
from you guys?
goes. He made it in. All right, and police chase.
And there it is.
Oh.
No,
And
I
there-
have
You
no
can hold us at gunpoint.
no. I don't have a follow up for that. No.
Wonderful member of our city.
What about you, Joy? Any follow-ups?
I don't have any follow-ups other than
Next in
Mac
line.
McCann. What a little rascal.
I love him.
Give me a gun.
There goes.
Guy with the cane. What's your dealio?
What's my dealio? Hello. Good to see both of you up there. I consider you both pretty good friends. Obviously, Franklin, I've worked for you for about a year now. And T, you saved my life up at the pump and dump when the paramedics said they didn't feel like coming up to Sandy. So, yeah, I'm very happy to see you two as the final 2 candidates. The question I have for you is, I'm a business owner in this state. I own 2 businesses and am intricately involved in the making of money for many other businesses. And as mayor, you are in charge of our state's funds. You're in charge of setting budgets. You're in charge of distributing all of our tax revenue. And as a result, you're also the head of the economy. What experience do you have in this kind of a role? Who do you plan to surround yourself with to advise you on these matters? And do you have any particular economic ideas in mind to change how things currently work?
All right, I believe it's my turn. I don't have any experience in any economic role. I am a unclassically trained lawyer. I would not pretend or sit here and try to act like I have any idea of economies whole. And everything I've heard about the way that we do things here in this city, as far as budgets go, and as far as begging Jerry for money to lift us out of a deficit, is quite frankly fucking terrifying and not very well put together. It's why I am putting a Treasury Department within the mayor's office that is currently looking at being headed at Kaj Tan, a fellow co-worker of both you and mine, Max. He's an economic major. He has gone to college in order to study economics. He not only studies economics and is very well versed in them, he enjoys it. He is a sick little nerd who loves talking about money, and I love him for it. And I'm going to make sure that he is not the only one with that burden on his shoulders, but to grab as many people as possible who can help with this situation. As far as helping out our economy and fixing this deficit, things like property taxes, which before everybody freaks out, will be a very minuscule sum to essentially just be checking in with homeowners, not an amount that is going to force people to have to work every day or lose the home that they probably saved up for the better part of a year. It will be simply a knock on the door from the DOJ or the government saying, hey, are you still utilizing this? Are you still contributing to the community? Hey, are you a landlord who owns a half a dozen homes or more? Well, let's financially incentivize you to sell those rather than letting you become the next, landlord scumbag. You know what? Debt to landlords. That's my position on that. I don't care. I don't care if that's... On top of that, look at what we have as far as resources in this city. We have a giant oil field on the east side. We have a wind farm in the north. There are so many avenues of revenue that we could easily approach to try to export goods in order to bring money in. And the things that we can do immediately are things like gambling taxes. Why are you as citizens paying 30 to 35% tax on parking your car? We are not paying that for gambling. Ridiculous. Luxury goods such as gambling should be taxed higher. Also have zero interest in taxes on things like food or businesses. I think we spend enough money trying to keep ourselves fed. Businesses spend enough money on trying to build the resources they need to continue running. This is something that I'm going to rely heavily on my coworkers, the people who will work in the office. This is another situation where you need to lean on people. Taking the burden upon myself or claiming that I can do it all and wave a magic wand, but putting people who are actually experienced and experts in this and passionate about it in charge to help us. Because right now, it is a complete shit show. Thanks.
Well, as for my own experience, Max, and it's good to see you up here, I have very little experience in terms of actual accounting. My wife helps me with the majority of my things we do, but I have worked in many businesses, and I have helped a lot of people get theirs going. I do want to talk with people, because I don't have anybody appointed for my position yet. As I had mentioned earlier, we are taking the best applications for people, so we are not putting people in these positions without making sure we have heard everybody first. But I do have some names in mind, some people that do work with businesses, multiple even in accounting. Some higher end names, some people that work in a lot, people like Kieran Jones, people like Desmond Dunn. They're some of the options we have and we have talked with. I would like to talk with more people and invite you all, if you think you are the fit for this job, to come forth to us. We do want to know that we have the best person for the job. That has been the promise since the beginning, and that's what we are going to be continuing to do. Only actually serving the community with the best people. Now, in terms of actually helping the businesses and the actual exports to the state, as was mentioned previously, this is something we talked about as recent as 9 months ago as well in the association. We are very keenly aware of the wind farms and the oil. We've tried to get that going forever. You know what else there is up there? There's a quarry. There's all kinds of natural resources we can do and deal with, but we choose not to. We can do this now. We haven't done it, but we've had thoughts about it. There's an even easier answer that we haven't talked about as well here. A state lottery. People love gambling. That's the simplest thing of it. Why don't we just have our own state one? Why don't we just put that in a convenience store and literally let people do what they fucking love? You can make money, we all can make money, people are happy, and guess what? That state revenue will fucking skyrocket. Excuse my language. I don't believe that we need to put state taxes on houses for first-time owners. That's ridiculous to me. People struggle and fight and fight. I had to do 14 months in all of my jobs to get where I could be to afford a house. I heavily believe that we should allow people to live in these houses comfortably, and we can just audit them without needing to have a monetary restriction on them. If they have a second house, then we start coming into the area of where they actually are becoming landlords, and then we can introduce luxury taxes. But people that have one house and they struggle to get it, they should be allowed to live comfortably, and we should just have to deal with that on our own with our own audits. We don't need to punish them. They're there, we'll check. And that's all.
All right, Maxwell Tunix, I'm not going to ask if you have a follow-up because you already asked a compound question.
I sure did.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Tunix. Mr. Hallion.
Oh, I don't have a question for
former
T.
mayoral candidate Thomas Hallion. What have you have to say?
I don't really have a question for T. He sat with me for around 8 hours one day while we called around a dozen people I knew that had some issues to bring up, so I don't have a question for him. My question is for Franklin. You keep talking about representing everyone and listening to everyone. How does a normal person like me that's not on your clientele Rolodex get listened to? Because you didn't bother giving me a single phone call at all and talking to me at any point during this campaign. So how does a normal person that isn't one of your clients or your inner circle know they're going to get any kind of help from you ever or be listened to? Thank you.
Hi, Thomas Hallion, famous Twinsta shit talker. I would love to address this because I can literally export my phone calls in which I had a conversation with you where you were extremely upset over the fact that your sanitation business was being basically overridden by Sean Dean and other people. And you were asking me for legal advice or avenues or what could you possibly do in order to fix this because you felt defeated, like you didn't even want to wake up anymore. I remember that, Thomas. I didn't imagine that phone call, and I've got the records to prove it. And you know what I did is I advised you on what legal avenues you could take, exploring it in the courts so we could push these issues right to the forefront of everybody's mind. I also called the mayor's office. I also had conversations with the people who were fucking up your sanitation business. Despite that,
my meeting with T wasn't about
excuse
anything
me,
about
excuse
my
me,
business.
excuse
It
me,
was about other
please,
people's, I
moderators,
said.
can we me to finish my answer before this guy comes in?
Finish your answer, Franklin.
I have represented blocks who have shot me in the fucking head literally the day after it happened. I have represented gangs that have attacked me and my friends because I believe in fair representation. I represent everybody, no matter what. I have stood on the side of terrorists and murderers, having to listen to them as they mock the family of those that they have killed or harmed. Disgusted with them, but still doing the best job I possibly could as a lawyer because that is my job and everybody deserves equal representation. Somebody has to do it. The amount of times I have had to take cases personally that everybody avoided or didn't have a... What do you have to say, Thomas? What's that? Speak up for the audience.
I said, why are you talking about your lawyer stuff still? Joy already called you on this shit.
Because I have a track record 14 months long of doing more than going around in bins and collecting shit and grinding it. I've done the homework, I've read, I've represented people, asked case laws. You can look at our case laws right now and you'll find multiple that happened from cases that I took that now everybody benefits for. So thank you for the question, Thomas. I appreciate you. Fuck you.
All right.
The mayor, you guys.
Questions from the mods? Any questions from the mods?
No questions from the moderators.
Next in line, please.
Bring on the next question.
Just so everybody knows, if Thomas does come cry to me on the phone needing help legally or otherwise, or mayoral or business, I'll still be very open to helping him, despite the fact he is a prick. Anyways, hello, sir.
Hello. I kind of had a follow-up, if you don't mind. There was a police chase that was started right after this, but I had a question for Dr. T. You stated we needed more tools to help ensure that, police will be held accountable, either through like public media or shaming or whatever goes along there. But there wasn't really much super concrete there. I would like to say when the FIB goes and shuts down food trucks for no reason, or when police chases end up with pedestrians getting struck and killed, as I have known someone personally who had that happen to them, do you have any kind of like help to any kind of ideas that would help bring that to a close? Mr. DuPont, I appreciate you who fight tirelessly to combat the constant violation of rights by the police. However, during my time during the DOJ, I've been able to witness several times where you will accuse police of malintent when there is none. Do you happen to have an independent board, or how do you plan on going about determining whether police are violating rights? Thank you.
Okay, I guess you want to answer this first, T? Yeah, I think you should answer this first.
Question was, I got it here. Accountability. What are you doing for accountability towards people that close stuff and so mean those freaking governments? DT.
Right. So when I had mentioned that earlier, I had specifically mentioned communication channels. Communication channels being probably the biggest thing we can do for a lot of organizations, but we need one that is between civilians and government, and it's always accessible. There's an issue currently with the fact that dispatchers are always kind of a stepping stone into police, so there's never going to be a concrete necessary one around at all times of the day. We should probably help them out, get some people that are around at all times, and get another phone line opened for this thing in specific. I had mentioned something like 411 earlier, but that's obviously more of traditionally an informational channel of communication. If we had something that wasn't necessarily 311, maybe it is 911. We just need something, a channel line, another 11 of some sort here, where they will know that this is about police issues, that they can dial in and look at the question at hand, say, I've been struck here. They can look and see who was there. That would at least help get some visibility to who could have been the person that did this thing. Because if we're talking about accountability, the biggest reason that this stuff happens, the most common thing that happens, is that you will, like you have mentioned, or others have mentioned on Twinsta, you will get struck by a car or something like that along those lines, rear-ended, whatever it is, lights or no, through a cross, whatever it is, and they just won't stick around. They'll keep going. You can't really combat that anyway with any tools other than, say, reaching out to somebody that does know who these people are and finding out who they were. You can name the lanes of travel they were heading, the directions and whatnot. This is the first step in that. I'm sure we can build upon it with people that have good minds for these things, with myself as well as DOJ and police input on this, but it's ultimately going to come down to communication, and that's probably the start, I would imagine. Tools wise, as much as I'd love to say, yeah, I wish we can get plate readers to everybody, I don't know how fucking often that's going to be a reality. I know a lot of tow truckers want plate readers for obvious reasons. That's something I can't promise you, but if it was, it would be amazing, right? If we had radar guns, things like that, it would be amazing. Not something I could promise. That's why it's got to come down to communication again. We need to open some channels for this, and we need to have dispatchers available for this, just not kind of moving out into police like they normally do. And we love our dispatchers. There's not enough of them. I wish we can keep them around more. But we need to find a way to keep them wanting to do their job. So we're going to have to help them out.
Thank you.
So I believe, just for clarification, your question was about determining like malicious intent through officers' actions.
And I'm no fan of how, things go on with the police, but I've also seen kind of boy who cried wolf situation, too.
As much as I'd like to be able to determine that kind of thing, it's really left up to the judiciary, who I more or less put my faith in to make the right calls here. Now, that does not mean that there aren't things that we could do to help push for these things. I'm going to point back to the San Andreas Bar Association. A lot of these issues, just sadly, it's like testing, right? We have to wait for people's rights to be violated, sadly. And then the ones that happen more and more often typically end up coming to the forefront, and that's where you typically end up getting a case law. Until these things are brought to light, there's not much that we can do. But what the San Andreas Bar Association can do, working in tandem with the mayor's office, is be proactive on these issues, try to pass legislation for these issues, or do what I'm currently doing with departments and the FIB, especially with skip tracers, which is sitting down with their department leaders and helping to write policy together. Now, again, I think every department is necessary in this state. A necessary evil is what I usually like to say, including defense attorneys, right? However, departments like the FIB should not be going around towing people or showing up at hospitals when people have been admitted to get fines. These things should have policies in place that prevent officers the opportunity to even violate or act in a malicious way from the ground up, from the beginning. That is the best I can do. As much as I would like to have that power, it simply should not be a power that the mayor's office holds or any one individual. It should be for the judiciary and for the bar association to lean and weigh in on, right? So I'm sorry if that's unsatisfactory. I know that's a bummer, but it is what it is, dog.
I appreciate the honesty.
All right. Thank you very much for your question.
Questions from the mods?
I don't have any follow-up.
Bring on thy next question.
Remember to be good in the line, you savages! Sorry, I'm getting.
Be cutting off the line soon, so
guard.
come on in. Okay, go to the line because we're gonna be cutting it off soon. With your question.
So with all the instances of hardship that people around the city have faced, there was the bombing on Boulevard del Perro, there was the massacre in the Richmond area, there was, you know, escaped convicts, there's been, you know, rabid animals, pirate attacks, you know, the safety and well-being of the people of San Andreas is one of my focuses. So here's my question. In the event that there were nitrogen-based organisms with a tendency to have a strong macroevolutionary change within days due to their high rate of metabolism, how would you prepare the state for their impending overtaking of our way of life and enslaving us into servitude?
Like a brain virus? Is that what you're saying? Can you boil that down to like human term?
Basically, what if aliens invaded us that evolved at a rate of like kind of like those weird bugs that have sex a lot and die in minutes?
Anime parasite?
What?
That's too deep of a cut. I would heavily rely on our medical staff, which I know we are very we're hurting right now, especially with Quimbley leaving Japan. Barring that, God, I just pray something like that doesn't happen, because very much see Jerry Calla pushing the nuke button. I don't know, dog. That's like saying, what would you do with an impending zombie? You know. Pray to my God, grab my gun and my wife, and fuck out of the city, I guess. Rely on our medical staff and our government, which, ooh, yippee, that sounds great for everybody, I'm sure. Anyways, thanks, Sargon, not Sargon.
Thank you.
Dr. T.
Sargon, I'm actually pretty apt in this one because I've had plans and I've actually attempted to start this and I've run this by a lot of people, but I've actually wanted to start a rifle association in the state. Something a little bit heavier, elevated than the current gun club that is kind of gone missing recently in the days of past, where it was a Grapeseed thing. I want people to be ready and armed and ready to defend themselves and their country in case of an invasion, because we don't talk about these kind of things. Obviously, we're not imagining a grand alien invasion, but you know what? I want to be ready to do my part and kill aliens just the same as all of you, and I want to put a rifle in every hand. As long as it's going to be safe gun ownership, why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we elevate people to have a gun to defend their home in the first place? We have guns floating around in these streets already in the form of double barrels. If you pass courses, and if you are a homeowner and you are passing all the background checks, why shouldn't we be able to get you something like a single shot shotgun to defend your home? Keep it locked away, you know. That's a start. At least you have something better to defend yourself from in this elaborate theoretical situation. I think we should be better trained, better upkept. Obviously, we will focus on our medical personnel fighting, but what you're elaborating on here is more than just an emergency where we need to defend. This is a war, and in a war, we need to fight. I'm ready to fight, and I hope all of you are too. Would you like to know more?
I'm a pacifist.
So I have a clarifying question, moderators. So a militia? Skits?
Rifles.
We already have a military.
Yeah, but it's going to take everyone if it's an existential threat.
If you joined, you get a free tricorn hat.
Hold on. As moderator, candidate Star DuPont, are you asking if Dr. T is suggesting that we make a militia? Is that your question?
Yeah, I think I think all of us are kind of familiar with groups that like guns a lot and the tedious nature from which that creates. Well, it should sound cool, but I don't know. I just want clarification. I'm not standing either way on this issue, I guess, but figure out what he means.
It was pretty clear. If we are being invaded by nitrogen-based alien life forms that are rapidly evolving, it's an all-hands-on-deck situation, and I'm not going to resign us to our fate.
All right, well.
And any follow-up from our question asker?
No, I don't think I have a follow-up question. No.
Alright, then thank you so much for being here.
I'm sorry, again, I'd love to hear your opinion on this later.
Next person up for the Castile.
It's me again. Hi.
Hi.
Thomas didn't ask the question I thought he was gonna ask, but it was still a pretty good question. Hell yeah. So like you were talking about changes to the business council, making changes to the peat plan. I don't know if your changes are kind of like realistic. I don't think the peat plan is going anywhere. And I don't think the business council will cease to be a black box in which things disappear into either. What are your like strategies for making it like less of that? Because I don't think either of those things are gonna like change too much, but they can change a little bit if you can, I don't know, make the right arguments to the right people.
Sure, of course.
So what are the arguments you got?
Thank you for this question. It's actually a great opportunity. I've spoken personally with Martin. The Pierce plan was something that I think he'd like to describe as instead of asking for permission, you ask for forgiveness. It was just kind of a thing that he did. And as a mayor, you can kind of just do some of those things. So as far as the Pierce plan, that was, as it's named after, Martin's entire thing. So if I would like to go in and change it a little bit, I fall on the left side of the spectrum. I really don't care if you're a felon. As long as you're not actively using your business to do crime, I think you should own a business. Obviously, the opposite side of that spectrum is no felons should have a business. There is a middle ground there that I'm sure a lot of people would like to give their 2 cents about, that I'm sure that we could find. But as it is, I think the plan was not fully fleshed out and is lacking quite a bit. And it quite literally will fall under the purview of the mayor's office whether or not I wanna change that. Now, dealing with the fallout of that and having to listen to people complain to me, I'm prepared for, but it doesn't change the fact that I will put my foot down on that issue. Now, with the business council being I don't know how you put it, like a black hole or things never return.
That you put things into and then they never return, and you ask
And you're like,
follow up every week, and then they try to schedule
My gun
meeting with
store.
like Joy's gun store.
Joy's gun store.
It would be nice to put a policy in place, again, things that we can do now that aren't soon TM, in which not only businesses that are prioritized based on areas that aren't thriving really, but prioritizing, I don't know, business applications that have been in there for how long, Gavin?
I'm pretty sure that there was stuff in there since January, at the very least.
Now, a lot of these things, they boil down to
last
soon
January.
TM. I imagine they're holding off on approving business proposals because of soon TM. We hate soon TM. Come find me if you want a soon TM button. But that does not mean you can't go through the proposal with someone, be more proactive, figure out a plan forward, get them as far as you possibly can be down the line, even if it's just approving that business and waiting for construction or certain things to come about, like with the gun business. You probably have to, there's probably some things in place We need to make it so you're not weapons trafficking, right, Joy? Want to be more proactive. I know Eddie Concord wants the same thing. Make sure to prioritize these people. We will put policies in place so that people know that that should be the priority and prevent that from happening as much as possible. But that's, again, going to come down to hiring the right people who are passionate and don't just take advantage of a position to funnel a paycheck. You know, very bored, Ian Knapp. I'm so sorry. I hope that's satisfactory. It really just comes down to being proactive.
I guess so. Does the Soontium button say Soontium when you press the
It
button?
does. It does. Well, no, it's not
Oh.
electronic. It just says Soontium on it.
Okay. T, do you have answer also?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yay.
I've looked at the Pierce plan as well, and there's clearly issues with it, as has been mentioned multiple times here already. It's obviously too black and white in a state that is gray. The world is gray. We shouldn't have to worry about people losing a license or losing the opportunity to own a business if they even have something as small as, say, they grew a plant in their backyard and had papers on them and then puts them in for manufacturing. We can rewrite this thing, we can rework it, and we plan on doing that with both the DOJ and the lawyers and the people, all of their votes, all of their input. We need to make this work for everybody. Now, in terms of businesses already that, you know, not, or maybe not even so stuck in that aspect of things, we also should be having more sit-down days. I know currently it's application-based, but I'd like to open up a day every now and then where we can just have people come in meetings and talk, because a lot of people are gated from doing these business applications because they don't have the resources or don't know how or can't reach out to the right people to put up an application. They just need to come up and speak with us, and I think we should have a day every now and then where we just do that. Let people come in and explain themselves. Let's look at the gray in the world. Let's see what issues they have and let them explain themselves before we come into any hard conclusions on anything. In general, we need to work on all of this. It's a big communications issue across the board, as most things are. And we can start alleviating that by opening channels to do so. Which is why I'm presenting the opportunity to do this. We will have days where we can meet everybody. Lines will be seen all the way to the end. You will be able to hear us out. I know a lot of people aren't typers and they're talkers. Trust me, I know a lot of them. So, we will absolutely deal with the Pierce plan. We will absolutely let people come in and talk. And we're going to streamline the process of even getting these things going. There's a lot of old business plans that are stuck in the pipeline, as Joy had mentioned. I know I have things that have been stuck in a long time, too. We need to definitely dig deep. There's currently about 185 businesses in this state. The vast majority of them we don't even see. So we're going to need to actually heavy audit these, see who's around, see who isn't, and also fix the problem of people not working in these businesses. 1 or 2 people is not enough to keep these communities thriving, especially when you go there and they're not actually there.
Oh.
So it's time we do buckle down on this, and I have a plan to make sure that we actually start auditing and not just keep kicking the can down the road.
Thank you, Dr. T. Do you have any follow-ups, question asker?
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, I think we're down to the mysterious stranger. Come on up here, mysterious stranger, and go ahead and ask your question of the mayoral candidates.
Ian Knapp wants to be saved for last.
Okay, well, if that's the case, does anyone else have any questions they wish to ask of our candidates?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and...
use the other mic.
Sorry. Hi.
Yep.
I got one eye. Hi, your fellow one-eyed person who can barely see. How's it going?
Hi, Connor.
Oh,
Connor.
I already know your thing, T. So I'm gonna ask it again. You can go over it if you want. I'm a Sandy person. What the fuck can you do to help Sandy out that's currently struggling?
So I don't know if you were here since the beginning, but this answer was brought up by Gothira. Happy to just go through it very quickly so that we're not here too long. We're going to be prioritizing businesses that are put into areas that haven't been utilized, not just Sandy, but Polito and Grapeseed as well. I mean, if we want to get into soon TM issues, things like business centers, like a Dean's World, but in other areas that aren't just Dean's World, right? We have an events committee in which we will be throwing if not weekly, bi-weekly events in each different part of the city so that communities can interact with each other. And so people have more of a reason to come out there and get out of their comfort zone, mind of which, of course, is my law building and the coffee shop, right? Still want to do the same thing that we're doing for the Up and Atom, or what Martin is doing, more correctly, with the Burger Shot. We want to revitalize the Burger Shot. I don't like that you go there, there's never anybody there. It's very sad to me. Yosuke shows up at the Clock and Bell, yes, but I mean, if we're being realistic, not at the level that it should be, right?
Oh, I guess so.
Sosuke's go into the Clock and Bell, and despite the fact that they're basically a bunch of domestic terrorists, bring a lot of life there and bring people there. They bring community there. We need to be able to do things like that in areas like Sandy so that we can improve those areas and make that community feel more whole, incentivize people to want to go interact with those communities. I understand everybody has a family, everybody has a comfort zone, everybody has a hangout. We need to encourage people to step outside of that comfort zone and interact with other people through all those ways that I've listed. But thanks for the answer or the question, Connor.
Any follow-up from Mr. O'Leary?
Yeah, I guess I got one other question because it's been like driving me insane. Yo, like, are you gonna like, what do you call it? Like, tell what the budget is of the state? Because I'm tired of not being able to buy a car that I want. So I need more PDM shit.
Yep. Yeah. I will be going public with budgets and wages for any business whatsoever. Obviously, I don't think I can force private businesses to tell people what they make. That's up to the people who are employed by them to ask what they're making, which most private businesses I don't think would be against that. And as far as the PDM goes, our plans currently are to put in a vehicle application request application, MDW, so that people can actually specifically order these vehicles. That way it's not just this random load that comes in and it's all gone again before anybody can get the vehicles they want, but so people can actually hold on to these vehicles. We bring the ones that we want in and they can purchase them. You know, whether or not we put a monetary amount on that application, right? That's not extreme, but reasonable. Still working it out. But yeah, I want people to be able to vehicles that they want and not wait 3 months plus for a random stock drop to find out about like stuff by somebody, right? Agree on that?
Fair enough. Guess I'll pass the mic to the mysterious stranger.
Dr. T to answer that question, or you already
Dr. T answer.
Yeah, T, let's answer. I want to hear you. I want to hear you too, of course.
Well, I've actually spoken with many of you may have known or not known, but there was actually a thriving community in the PDM as recent as a month or so ago. They had been there for about 4 months, and a recent change to the PDM in which they stock their vehicles has all but caused this community to dishevel again. This happens all the time in the state. This is something we want to fix. It is my impression PDM does count as a business, and business is under the peer review of the mayor. So we will be looking into reapplying some old potential works with this. There was good changes to the PDM. The ability to see what cars you have is good. But unfortunately, now anybody can go in once, see what's there for the day, and then never have to come back. This kills off an entire thriving community that existed in there, and an entire business avenue for people to make money. The people that work at PDM make pennies on the dollar. We've done the math. They make 1% off of commissions. That's not much of an incentive to try and sell cars and get more money into the state. More cars sold gets more money to the state, period. We should be incentivizing these people to want to sell. Not only that, but we have problems with currently, as we all know, there is a drip system of where things are coming in. We just don't know when. The problem with that is it happens right after the storm rolls out and the guys drop off the cars. That's not representing everybody else around the state. So we absolutely need to create an application process, as Franklin was mentioning here, and we have our own ways of doing that, and we do plan on making it an equal opportunity thing for every shift.
All right. Thank you so much for your questions, Mr. O'Leary.
Thank
Is
you.
there anyone else that has questions for either candidate before we let the mysterious stranger take the microphone and wrap this whole thing up. We don't have much time left in the debate anyway, but if there are any last-minute burning questions that are just boring a hole in your brain matter that you really want to throw out at any of these two candidates, now would be the time.
See, this guy might blow me up with a
Polls
rocket launcher.
close
Get ready.
tomorrow afternoon, I believe 3 p.m. EDT.
Anyone going once? Anyone at all going twice? Going 3 times? And alright, mysterious stranger, the floor is yours.
The mic is over there, mysterious stranger.
Mysterious stranger, the mic is over there. That's the moderators. You okay, everybody? Oh.
Nope.
Don't
Is he
get too
alright?
close to the
what's he doing?
mayoral candidate.
He's showing everybody his ID. Hello, Ian Knapp. It's nice to see you.
Name
I
is
see your ID.
Ian Knapp. He's
The-
not
the-
a mysterious stranger. His name is Ian Knapp.
Okay, Ian Knapp. Hello. Feel free to
He's
answer, ask your
introducing
question.
himself.
Give him a second. He's introducing himself to everybody.
Hi, Ian.
Is that his dog?
Oh,
Oh no.
okay.
Hello there, sir.
What the fuck
Quite a-
is
quite an
happening?
adorable
I
dog.
see that ID.
Okay.
Yep.
This guy was. Wait, hold on a minute. You were born in 2004?
Oh.
Oh my god.
21 years old.
Sometimes time
That was a
is not
20-year-old
kind to
man.
people.
I know you, Ian Knapp. We've had many traumatizing experiences
It's
together.
very good to meet you, Ian.
I killed
okay,
you when I
thank
dumped you in the ocean.
Oh, he's introducing himself
Oh,
to the
thank you.
camera
Yeah,
guy.
for the camera. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, he's just got to make sure
Okay.
everyone knows that he is Ian
Wait a minute,
Knapp.
can I see that ID one more time?
Hold on,
Oh,
can I
no,
get a
I
good
don't
look?
think he wants to see. Let me...
Is this his dog?
What is that?
Yeah, yes, Ian?
Could be his dog. It could
Oh.
be a friendly stray canine that just showed up for the
Okay.
Oh my
the
god,
ride. We
what
don't
the
know.
fuck is
Very cute
happening?
microphone. Do you want to use the microphone?
Franklin does have the
You
support
want
of the puppy boys.
Ian
Just
Knapp?
another ID.
You want me to read the
Step
the-
away
the-
so you can use the
I-
microphone, Ian.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Brave.
Thank
So
you.
brave.
What did he
Ow.
say? I gotta know what he said so I
Anybody
can
who's
put it
not
in
familiar with
the-
Ian Knapp, that was his famous catchphrase, I sleep. Usually followed with a rocket launcher or something of that sort.
Okay.
Please don't.
There he goes.
Perhaps we should wrap up these debates.
I
I
think
I
the
put
dog
get a
also
skin
wants
graft on top
to.
of a skin
Both the mayoral candidates. get
wait, the
behind me
dog
in
wants to
case
say something.
happens.
I think the
want
dog
to
is
say
in
something.
line.
the doggo want to say.
I'll adjust the microphone. Hold on, let me bring that down for you.
Oh my god.
Go right ahead.
Is this Scooby-Doo?
I guess he doesn't.
Enough said.
He doesn't
Alright.
want to.
Okay,
He's already said his piece. There he goes.
Good for
fair
him.
enough.
Sir, good boy.
There you go.
That is a good
All
dog
right,
right there, I
ladies
can
and
tell.
gentlemen, that will conclude our final mayoral debate of the third mayoral election. One of these two lucky candidates will be the next mayor and have the opportunity to put their policies into place. And you have the chance to decide who will become mayor. As a reminder, you have until, what is it, Saturday?
Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow 3 p.m. Eastern. All right. So if you
fucker.
haven't already voted today, get in there and vote for which candidate you like better. And if you can't do it today, make sure to do it tomorrow morning, because if you don't, you will lose your right to exercise your right to vote. Because we have to count the ballots, and we need time to do that.
Everyone for coming out.
Everyone, as a reminder, we have Tito's Tacos and what was the other one? The pancake place?
Pancake Parlor.
Pancake
Parlor.
Parlor. Why did you say it like
Pancake
that? Parlor? Parlor? Pancake Parlor. Pancake Parlor and Tito's Tacos. If you need food, if you need drink, that's the place to go. It looks like our candidates, I don't know if our candidates are remaining behind to ask questions individually, but they're just walking around in circles on that stage. I don't know.
Send money to my raffle.
Also, she's got a raffle. She's trying to open up a dispensary.
A raffle, $50 per ticket. My state ID is 6928. Every $50 is one ticket, and the reward.
All right, that's a wrap. I'm going to go get food because I'm starving.
The reward for winning.
Yeah, go fucking vote, you lazy bums. No matter who you vote for.
That's all she wrote.
The guy with the track record, vote for me. If you want the guy with the hopes and the dreams, vote for T. Good luck, America.
Look, no, back away, I'm securityizing.
All right.
I'm happy with what we shot out today here. I think we got the message across for the people that are being put forth from the people. Our messages change. You can trust us. We're not going to have the same old candidates, the same old cabinets. There is going to be new policy that represents everybody. And I look forward to being your mayor.